Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Valero Texas Open Picks Preview. One and done. We got the whole shebang. Geoff Fienberg in studio with me to break it all down.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
You doing well?
Doing pretty well.
Good.
Want to give a special shout out to fantasynational.com.
Oh, that was the trick.
I am a member of fantasynational.com, and without it, its lineup building abilities for me, I made 20 lineups. One of them happened to come inside the top 3 of the big $5, 20 grand to me. But it's really 25 grand Canadian, and we don't pay the taxes on it. So it's excellent. So if you were American, you would pay the taxes. Canadians, we don't have to pay the taxes. It's great.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
It is funny how, in the end, it's like Siwoo that hooks you so much. Like, right? Isn't that like a funny 6 Ways to Sunday sort of like arrangement?
Well, in full disclosure, I had my birthday party on Saturday night, so I didn't wake up until like noon on Sunday, forgetting that the golf had started really early. So I woke up and Siwoo was already like on the 14th hole.
Like up to?
He was up to. I was like, this is great. Didn't even open DraftKings for a while. And then I went on, I was like, currently winning like 3 grand. Like, it's not bad. I only invested like $130, so good ROI right there. And then all of a sudden, I was trying to do out the math, and I was so hungover I couldn't figure it out, that I saw everyone ahead of me. They had Siwoo, and he was getting the first place points, and a lot of them also had Kadira as well. And I didn't quite because I didn't have Siwoo on that team, which is the weirdest thing of all. Had I have had Siwoo, I would have won, which sucks in a way, but what are you gonna do? But I didn't realize that they were both getting first place points for everyone in front of me. And then if Siwoo had come in second, they all would have lost 10 points. That math didn't occur to me until like 45 minutes later. I was like, oh man, if Kadira wins this, I win. No, don't win, but come in third. If not, I would have come in 7th.
Yeah. And I was sort of in this torn place of rooting for you, having a Siwoo ticket. And I just like, if Siwoo just could have hit any of those putts, we never would have been here, like, in terms of the concept of you winning that much money. So, like, then it's like this torn scenario.
Yeah, listen, I obviously would have come 7th. I think that was 2,500 odd, but I still would have won a bunch on Siwoo. I live cashed out Siwoo at 77
and I'll tell you
to 1,
that,
too.
when Siwoo was on 15, I mean, we were texting, and the concept of you winning that money, you had no clue of it, and you were, like, pretty freaking annoyed. This is before he missed the par putt.
Yeah.
That like he wasn't going to get birdie, let alone like make a bogey. You were like, just make this birdie and it's freaking over. Like, let alone like the concept of bogey there wasn't, but you had like Siwoo on the 15th green. You had this concept of you cashing that was not even in your mind.
No,
you
I was just pumped for Siwoo to win.
Yeah.
I think Siwoo knows how big of a fan I am of him, and he just did me a solid. He already has enough. He won the Players. He won like $2 million last year. He said, hey, let's give Mayo some bucks.
So it was 4 feet for par on 15.
Miss.
6-7 feet for birdie on 16.
Miss.
Nice little scramble, awkward chip to get it to 4, just over 4 feet on 17 for par.
Mm-hmm. Miss.
Now we're all tied.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And then he sticks it.
Then he sticks it to like 6-2.
For birdie.
For birdie.
For the win.
Well, Luke List is like 10 to put extra to get himself in the potential of the playoff.
Yeah. But
Both
put it this way. I love Luke List. There is nothing I sweated less than Luke List making a 10-foot birdie putt on 18. That just was never happening.
I mean, listen, I can't. I don't even know. Did that putt even? I assume that putt didn't even touch the hole.
I mean, as someone who was listening to it on the app because it wasn't on live TV, he missed it.
No, I know, but and I didn't have the like. Had Siwoo won, I would have really enjoyed watching the replay. Not like enjoyed watching it, but like had I accidentally flipped to CBS, I would have gotten like caught there for a few minutes.
Sure.
The turn of events, I had no interest, kind of in watching. Although I'm always happy when someone wins. Although DraftKings kind of like different because you're winning from like each other.
Yeah.
I really like if like.
Oh, if Siwoo had won, it would have been an explosion of like.
Or like
but the one good thing about it was if you had a Siwoo ticket, it was probably at the least it probably was 70 to 1. Most people got it at 110. the hedge opportunity being in a playoff at basically even money was there if you wanted your winnings.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
But that was there.
Yeah, it was there. Because my whole thing was like, I stared at Kadira like when it got to 5, I didn't want to do it. And I had a Luke List ticket. So I'm like, that's my hedge, is Luke List here. I don't, whatever. Happy you won. There were also some nice Kadira tickets out there.
And there was a lot of people who just, they ended up winning, like someone won the $3. Someone came second in the $3. Someone won came very high in the $33. There was a lot of big DraftKings cashes too.
And I'll be honest, people were like, what do you compare this to, like with Siwoo? The feeling that I would best, it was like a bewildered feeling I had after, but I couldn't really compare it to anything. Some of the most annoying beats in my head, like Scott at the Open Championship, but he didn't have those looks. He was kind of melting around on the course.
Yeah, Siwoo was fine. He just couldn't cut.
I can't compare that to anything. Brooks for Lily was painful when he gagged on the back 9, and Sergio won that. What was
Byron
that?
Nelson.
Yeah, whatever that was. I guess that's coming up.
That's in a few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't there's no loss that I can guys at Melton did. I've never seen that become Luke List on the 68th hole of the tournament.
Well, the thing I'll say is that the weather did shift when all those guys were on the back 9, because it wasn't just Siwoo who couldn't putt anymore. Everyone couldn't putt anymore. So it's like the reads that they had for the first 90% of the tournament, the wind affected the greens or it affected the putting stroke, whatever it was, because everyone just started missing. Poulter started missing, but I think he just played. It was his 6th tournament in a row.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys, they were missing legitimate, I don't want to say legitimate par putts. But
they were all doing it. So there was something going on. I assume it was the wind, because it did really pick up.
Incredible. And then the putt Kadira hit in the playoff. You kind of felt like the only way Siwoo would win the playoff.
If he hit a 35
Kadira. No, I was Kadira's got to find his way into a greenside hosel and not be able to get up.
Oh, so you thought the only way Siwoo could win at that point is if Kadira screwed it up?
Yeah, completely. I didn't see any Siwoo birdie. I was even worried on for Siwoo 3-foot par putts at that point. How could you not be?
Yeah.
Incredible. Just the run on tour we've had kind of late.
Of awesome finishes?
And this one, just really cool. And profitable.
Very profitable. Yeah, can't be down this year. That's good. And I'm no longer a losing DraftKings player anymore.
Good.
This will help me out for a while. I hope so.
Yeah. And I don't know, it seemed like everyone was pretty happy for you.
Yeah. I was super excited, but again, I was super hungover, so I was just yeah, all right. I told my wife, she was super pumped. New kitchen, apparently.
Okay,
she's already got the money spent.
That's sort of how it works.
Yeah, it's one money.
Yeah, and even you had I'll just say briefly, personal level, you had your party on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You'd invited me. Full disclosure, my wife was at a bachelorette, and my mom was taking my Lily.
So you had a night to yourself.
So it was should I go to I know this sounds so Dudley. To anybody who isn't in my shoes, it was I could go to Pat's party, but the concept of going to bed at 10 o'clock to complete silence, I don't know, I really don't want to pass that up. And then I was up, and then on the back 9, I was chipping away ice on my front steps because we had an ice storm.
Which is still going, by the way.
Listening on the radio because it was I was getting frustrated. I need to occupy myself. You go work out and shit. Yeah. It's not really in my forte. So I was trying to be productive. It was really annoying.
Can we talk
Props to the radio?
Yeah, can we talk about the coverage for a second? Yes, if you had the Golf Channel app, you could have watched it live.
We're geo-blocked.
Yeah, we're geo-blocked
in Canada for no real reason.
So I was trying to find the Sky Sports feed, and I was 5 minutes behind. So I started listening to the radio as well.
Which wouldn't have started...
Which is a really weird thing to do. I had my wireless headphones on, and I was pacing around the house trying to clean up and keep
I do
myself
it
occupied.
more often. I'm kind of used to it. Sometimes I'll take like Lily to the park. I'll listen or go for a walk.
I don't know who the guy is who does the play-by-play and who like the color guy is, but they knew people were listening. And he was,
they're not fools.
and it would be like 30, like in the playoff, it's like 35 feet for Siwoo Kim.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, man, like calm down a little bit. They were
I
hyped.
know they were hyped. Yeah, they knew. And I don't know, you could like debate the whole. It is like kind of egregious that we can't watch it.
Now I understand that the Golf Channel can't show it because of a rights issue.
Yeah, CBS,
now if it was NBC this week that had the coverage, they would have shown it live on Golf Channel, I'm pretty sure. But when you're CBS and you come on air and the tournament's still going on live, I think Siwoo was on like 17 by the time it crossed over. Then you had the playoff. Like, I get you need those hours to fill, but just come on live for the last hour and then cut it down and replay the last 2 hours again. Like,
yeah.
who is realistically the only person who was like watching was Cust, who didn't realize what tape delay was.
No, and I like we debate this all. We don't debate it because we're all on the same team, or anybody watching this is sort of has the same feelings we do. But it always seems to go back to the fact that, you know, it's those nice cars, the commercials are watches and prescription blood pressure or erection. And I like my dad sits down, he's 75 years old at 3:45. He doesn't have a clue. He didn't check his app. Like, he doesn't have a clue. And that's like who they're clearly, like, that's who's paying the commercials.
True.
Even though it's different. And I mean, you know, golf, so it's really strange. And the Golf Channel as a whole, in this like dying world of cable TV, like sort of being this dying breed, it stands alone as an incredible success story that is unwavering.
Yeah.
Whether it's the talking head panels, whether it's live golf, whether it's instruction, the numbers they pull through the roof.
All right. Well, I do want to thank everyone out there who sent me, kind words. That was really nice. Made my day. And I want to let everyone know that I mentioned fantasynational.com, but if you become a member now, there's a new feature on the site. The custom model is always there, but now you can save your custom model. So like the one I had for Heritage is now just saved. I'll be using that one again next year, and you can just save them as many as you want down the list. If you're trying to find different things, you don't have to go recreate it every single time. So that's a new feature for members. Let's talk Valero. Let's get into it. Valero Texas Open, longish course, over 7,400 yards in Texas. If there's one thing that we need to know, and if you're new to the Valero and that kind of thing, wind. Remember, this was the one where it got wiped out, 2015.
Was that Marty Laird?
I forgot who won that year.
Bowditch?
No, it was the year after Bowditch. I forget who it was. Jimmy Walker won. But it was the one where the morning wave got completely wiped out.
Oh.
And Dustin Johnson shot 11 over, but he made the cut. So did Carlos Ortiz.
He was like one of two
was
players from that wave, and then he won. We're like, he should almost get his own separate trophy for winning that wave.
Yeah, he came like 6th or something like that. And just the morning wave shot an average of 78. The afternoon wave shot an average of 74. That's a massive difference. So for DraftKings purposes, and I'll get into this more tomorrow on the DraftKings show, but there's already wind projected in the forecast, but it's tough to kind of tell on a Monday. But just blindly stacking one of the waves, or maybe even taking let's say you play 20 lineups, stacking 7 one way, 3 the other way, could put you in a good position to get lucky, I think. So you have to watch out for that. Key stats that I'm looking at: driving distance, ball striking, birdies are better, par 5 scoring. Zach Johnson has won here in the past. Ryan Moore has played really well. So has Matt Kuchar. But generally speaking, when you go back and look at the guys, it's deep guys, ball strikers. That's who shows up here. Hell, Kevin Chappell won here last year. We know he can't putt.
And that was, sort of like piggybacking off the conversations we had in Houston a couple weeks ago. That was a short number. Sort of like people Henley, that number, Houston, I didn't bet it was short. Chappell was like the exact same thing.
And we're seeing that again this year with these numbers.
Between 28, 30, 5-1, you're like, I don't want to be Kevin Chappell at that price. He won, and then the year before was at Hoffman. He had that annoying walk-off win off Reed. It still pissed me off.
But the thing was, that was another one where Hoffman, it was very, he had the top 10s in all the Texas tournaments, and then you looked at it, it's like, Charlie's just playing really well. And I think his number
was very due.
And I think he dropped to 20-1 to begin the week. It's like, we're not betting Charlie Hoffman at 20-1.
Fist pumped that one in.
When we've been betting Charlie Hoffman for the past 5 weeks at 70-1. And then we missed it. And I did the same thing with Henley last year. I missed that. did the same thing with Chappell here last year. Looked at the number and said, too short, don't want it, and he wins. So when we get into the field this time around, there's 156 players. It's a giant full field tournament. This is the worst field I think we may have had all year. Like, this is rivaling like Sony Open in Career Builder. And at least Career Builder had Rom, Heritage last week, had Dustin. 5 players inside the top 30 this week in the world rankings. And the highest one is Sergio. Then you got Kuchar, Hoffman, who are the other two? Hoffman and Xander Schauffele. Those are your top 5. So in terms of odds, Sergio comes in. He's a co-designer of this course along with Greg Norman. He's 14-1. Kuchar's 18, Hoffman's 18, Ryan Moore is 28, List is 25, Scott is 30, Chappell is 33, Billy Horschel and Brent Snedeker both 35, coming off decent weeks at the Heritage. Then you got Steele, Xander, Ollie, Woo, Chesson Hadley, and Pat Perez and Bo Hostler all at 40-1. Like, those are not enticing numbers.
Nope, but some interesting names, and I kind of got a bet on a couple of them already. Win wave or not. I would probably agree. This probably the worst field of the year, at least in some of the other bad fields. There's like 1 or 2 guys
that pop,
that are there, at least like maybe in the top, crisp of the world rankings.
How scared are you of Sergio?
A bit.
Are you?
Yeah.
I am too.
A bit, because
I'm not betting him.
Could be angry, and he's been playing so well.
I mean, realistically, he had 1 bad hole at the Masters. Other than that, he played pretty well.
Yeah, and he'd been playing so well before that. Yeah. And anyone that I bet at the Masters, I kind of, like even last week for a bit, before Bryson exploded, and then he still finishes 1 shot off the playoff, I was kicking myself because being someone that bet Bryson at the Masters.
And then not betting him there, yeah. I felt like an idiot too.
What? Huh? What'd you do? Like who did, you don't think about it when I was planning last week's card, but then you get there and I had this guy to win the Masters. I didn't pick him to beat this.
And he had
group.
already previously played well with the Heritage too, like in his first career start as a pro. He went from the Masters Amateur to the Heritage and came top 10.
Yeah, he kind of pulled the Fowler Saturday.
Yeah, and it was really, that triple bogey, obviously that cost him. You can point to a lot of things last week, like the Siwoo touching the sand triple bogey. Like that's not the difference.
I even forget about that.
Yeah, but that happened. But just make one of your 4-footers.
Yeah.
No, so you can't really point to that.
Absolutely, you can't. You cannot really point to that. And even Luke List, I believe before his heater started Friday, he missed the same putt Siwoo missed on Sunday.
No, that happened. In fairness to Luke List, that happens every week.
Okay, fine, but he also 1 stroke off. Yeah, I get it. Let's. So Sergio does scare me. Kuchar will do what he does.
He'll come 6th.
Yeah, Hoffman is just not a guy betting.
I'm not going to bet him at 18-1, and I know I said I wouldn't bet him at 20-1 2 years ago when he won here, but it's the rest of the guys in that mid-range that do entice me a little bit. Luke List is 25-1. I'm betting Luke List. I refuse to miss this one.
And it feels like the model.
Yeah, the models, they love Luke List. If you don't include putting. If you put in everything else, Luke List is the best player. Luke List is, right now, essentially Dustin Johnson, except for he can't putt.
Oh, I was going to say he's like Paul Casey in terms of how the models treat him.
That's probably a better example. Yes, he's a lot like Paul Casey. And
the pricing, because you usually see Paul Casey priced, the Paul Casey before
the win.
Yeah.
But it was always one of those things.
And
hey,
you have
a hot round on the greens and you win Paul Casey. And he did.
Yeah. And you put into a computer what you need, and it's going to spit out Luke List and Paul Casey.
And listen, it's not like...
Who had a horrible week, Paul Casey.
Yeah.
But we, all those guys, even Dustin, you could tell something...
Outside of Matt Kuchar, if you're a big-name player and you played the Masters the week before, just
okay,
no thanks at Heritage.
Yes, and it's kind of the one thing I thought of, which... obviously it being his National Open made it extra inspiring, but John Rahm to do that, even though the field was shit, full marks, right?
Well, Rafa went over and missed the cut.
Yeah.
So
full marks.
John Rahm has made 6 career European Tour starts. He has won 3 of them. It's kind of crazy. So List I'm in on. I'll eat the 25 and move on my way. I'm also in on Adam Scott, who's just Luke List.
I've already bet Adam Scott.
So did I, 30-1.
Luke List needed just some staring at, but Yeah, we've been on it too much.
And I mean, it's going to be.
I just got like a wave of heartburn, like at the concept of betting Luke List at 25-1.
But here we are. Luke List, when you go back and look at his results, here's the one thing I'll caution against with List that I find kind of intriguing. So you go back and look at him since the Farmers. He hasn't missed a cut since the Farmers. So that's 8 in a row. He hasn't finished worse than 26th in any of those tournaments. But he has a 3rd place at the Heritage, a 2nd place at the Honda, and the 16th of the Valspar. What do those 3 courses have in common?
Wind?
Well, they're pretty windy, but you're not taking like driver and bombing it off the tee at any of those courses. They're somewhat less than driver courses, which is crazy.
Say those courses again.
Heritage, Honda, Valspar.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was thinking watching him this weekend, was because I was at the Honda where he just dissected it for the most part. A lot of the same sort of setups.
But here, it's not that way. So he's going to have to pound driver off the tee every time. He came 24th at Shell. He was 7th at API. But I don't know, is he kind of like Gary Woodland in this way, where maybe you take, not necessarily driver out of his hand, but allow him to hit some fairway irons off the tee, or hit a 3-wood or a 5-wood, and he's just a lot better?
What's the trouble here? Is the trouble just like OB? Because it kind of just seems...
Wind and OB. Because the rough is not, whatsoever.
It kind of seemed like last week at the Heritage. I mean, like, how many times on Stat Tracker was it from native area and then they're 12 feet for birdie?
Yes. Unless you got stuck behind a tree. That was the only real penalty. I mean, Si Woo pulled out a 3-wood out of the pine straw and went after it on that par 5. And then he couldn't get up and down.
Yeah, I know. And Luke List played some of those par 5s that most people were laying up, but he was going for. He had those 30-foot eagle putts a lot of the weekend.
Well, I do think that distance plays a key factor at TPC San Antonio, solely because the most challenging holes are really deep par 4s. 2 of the par 5s are over 600 yards. The other one falls just below that. And there's 2 par 4s that are gettable for the longer hitters. So the par 5s last year generated 11 eagles, which isn't all that many, but the 2 short par 4s generated 9. So if you have the distance to get to those, and I remember watching this last year, Finau put it like over the par 4 and made, like, we thought this is where Finau was going to win last year, and he didn't. He almost won. So I think this does set up really well for List. Adam Scott's won this tournament before. It was like 10 years ago, but he's won it.
No, I saw Adam. Yeah, I don't know. He's not playing horrible.
Adam Scott's playing fine, man.
No, exactly. I mean, up to expectation, the bar he set for himself. But I looked at this 30-1 in this field. He's got, everything seems to be pointing sort of before when Bubba and Phil were getting their wins. Like Scott was like, I know it seemed like he was seeing a lot of the signs we were seeing in those guys before they finally popped.
So Adam Scott right now in my custom fantasy national model over the past 24 rounds ranks 11th. He's 7th off the tee in strokes gained, 6th in ball striking, 5th in driving distance, 5th tee to green. He just can't putt.
So here's the thing. You start your card with List and Scott. Just, you can't look at Stat Tracker.
No, that
because like you're gonna be
no. Look at shot.
No.
Look at shot tracker. Just don't look at it when they're on the green.
No, because you'll be really frustrated when it's like 6-footer for birdie and it's you just look back and he didn't make it, or it's 4-footer for par and then you come back and he posts a 5. You can't look at it. It'll ruin your day.
Ryan Moore rates out really well for me, but he's Anderkirst this week. That was Tim's pick, so probably
he had a really strong week.
Yep.
Not strong enough, but a lot of guys sort of did what Moore did last week.
Sure. Except for Cantlay, who didn't get it rolling until the end.
But they kind of finished in that exact same spot, didn't they?
There was a lot of like T7, T9.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Everyone got gobbled up right there.
So I just don't bet Ryan. I would rather... I don't know. To me, like, the team of List and Scott is better than the team of Hoffman and Moore.
I mean, the team of Hoffman and Moore sounds like a DraftKings cash game team.
Sounds like a legal firm.
Hoffman and Moore?
Yeah.
What about your buddy Ben Silverman? Get him on that legal team too? He's back in the field.
Kadira's not here, eh?
No, but he has his PGA Tour card now. Ryan Moore in 2 starts, 2017 and 2012 at Valero, T18, T8. So despite not being a long hitter, and I'm going to focus on the longer hitters this week, like I mentioned, he and Zach Johnson are the ones in Kuchar over the years that have proven that they can play well at this course,
Well,
despite the fact that it's designed for bombers.
There's a long and straight hitter that's really caught my eye that had this number last week, and I kind of ignored it, and he scared me till Saturday.
If it's Xander Schauffele, I'm in on Xander too at 40 to 1.
It is. He's long. He's straight.
Yeah, you know what I noticed about Xander last week? Can't chip.
That
He was
really
brutal from off the green.
That was really killing him. Par 5 scoring, I believe, wasn't really his friend. But the reason you sort of didn't want to bet Xander last week is because you felt the long and straight drive was kind of negated.
Yes.
Here-
No, it was and it wasn't. He wasn't going to be able to put.
You just looked at like the past winners at Heritage, and it's like the guys that hit it like really long. Like
It's the guys who dink and dunk.
Yeah. So that was and he kind of hung around, and he never played the place before. So it is a bit of an intricate golf course that maybe next year he'll do better at. But I believe this layout suits Xander much better, and it's the same number, and the field is shit. And the field isn't very strong. And pound for pound, like you said, he's on that short list of highly ranked players. But
Yeah, I don't. Here's what I don't
Billy
understand.
Horschel being these points shorter, and great for Billy. Form, nice to see. Happy if you cash the T5 at the same price like the Kisner and Brian Harmon outrights paid last
Well, that's
week.
fine. We talked about that last week.
At
that
200 to 1.
that the top 5 for Billy Horschel last week was 50 to 1. And now, if you took like the 200 on the each way, it would have been 50 to 1. Now he's 35 to 1 to win. He's played well here over the years, but I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't do Snedeker at 35 either. You give me Snedeker at 70, then
things
pretty
are
pumped.
things are
But I'd
work-
just much rather take Xander at 40.
Yeah, and things are working for Billy, and you feel like it's starting to play well, and you see him. I don't know. I saw his post-round interview.
I watched that too. He seemed pretty pumped. He said he found
Did
something
I
on the
watch it, or did they play it audio version? Because I didn't watch anything.
It was on Saturday they had the round.
Maybe that
That's
was
when it
when I watched it. Yeah.
Also, Poulter gave an interview on Saturday. Get him in the booth. Get Poulter in the booth. He's good on TV.
Heritage has a history of these washout Sunday. I remember I had to listen to a Furyk Kisner playoff on the PGA Tour radio 2 years ago.
Yep.
Who would have won there?
3 years ago, because Grace won the
Yeah.
year before.
So always, and I guess we didn't even talk about it because so invested in those guys at the top going into Sunday. In the end, another guy barnstorms the Heritage.
Yep. Oh, yeah. 6th straight year. Guy from more
Five
than
out.
3 box back. Boom.
Barnstormed it.
But also, the one
And I thought it was less conducive, sorry to interrupt, for the barnstorm because of the split tees. Like, when you're
it pushed everyone together so you wouldn't get a massive swing.
But he was gone. He was gone. They were, 6 holes left? He was in the clubhouse. So it worked to how it historically has.
And it's strange because I had mentioned this to Paul that the one reason that I ended up on him was because he was a top 50 ranked player in the world.
Fantasy National said so.
No, Fantasy that wasn't a fit because he doesn't have enough stats.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't play on tour and the Masters doesn't track stroke gain. This came down. Remember we bet Brendan Grace there 2 years ago when he won? And the only reason that we bet Brendan Grace because he was the second highest ranked player by world ranks in the field, and he's being priced as like the 15th best player in the field. This one, you had a top 50 player who was like the minimum on DraftKings. Sometimes there's something to look at with that, and I feel that way about Xander this week.
Yes. I will say it's a lot slippier, because at least with Grace, you see them playing the race, you see these European events, you see the race to Dubai.
Sure, it's not like Kadira didn't play well at the Masters.
He's a
top 30.
two-time Asian major winner on the Asian Tour. He's won 2 majors. I don't know what that's worth, but
apparently it's worth enough points to get him into the Heritage.
Yeah, and to get him into those WGCs, and yeah, he did play well at the Masters, at least on Sunday last week. And he said this course looks a lot like courses he plays at home.
Well, it's funny. I think that's why you can kind of take some of the Euro guys and some of the international players at Heritage because it's not the PGA Tour courses like this one this week. It's a bomber's course. And if you're that good at bombing the ball, you just play on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
That's a course.
Yeah.
Heritage is a course management course.
Yes.
Colonial is a course management
And guess
course.
who was, I don't want to say complaining, but because it was this player, it kind of feels like it was complaining, even though I didn't hear it. It's complaining that there should be more courses like the Heritage. He played well. We just spoke
Poulter?
about him. No, but Horschel.
Sure.
Because he plays well like those those small green kind of places. That's where he pops usually.
It neutralizes the bigger hitters.
Yeah.
So List, Scott, and Xander. That middle range, though. Chappie, Horschel, Snedeker, the 30 guys. I really want to go in on Chappell, the defending champion, but I can't pull the trigger on him. This is exactly what I said last year when he won.
It seems weird for the fact that you've been sticking with Chappell so much. I'm not going to argue getting off because he's been playing so poorly, but it seems like this might be the place you're really going to regret getting off.
Potentially, but I'm
off.
But here's the thing: like I can get Xander, who's a very similar type player at 40, and then like Pat Perez is 40 to 1 too. He's one of the highest ranked guys in this field. He's getting no respect.
A few things.
Okay.
Because in this range it can get slippery. Like Ollie's been pretty bad.
I'm not one who bets Ollie, though. You're the one who bets Ollie.
I'm not the only one.
No, you're not the only one. But again, you can always build the case for Ollie because he does play better on Bermuda. And if it's a place where wind is going to play a factor, and it will, you always like Ollie in his low ball flight. Always.
Something's been off there.
I get it.
Siwoo half the price.
I was thinking about this.
Like,
did you just say screw it and roll with Siwoo again?
He'll be...
I doubt anyone takes him this week. That'd be my guess.
Okay, fine. DraftKings is kind of a different story.
But even betting him, I don't think people are going to bet Siwoo. If you've been betting Siwoo every single week, you've been betting him at either over 100 or over 200 to 1. Now he's 40 to 1. We know this with Siwoo. If he pops, he jumps back up the odds for like 2 weeks, and then he has 2 terrible performances, and he's back being 150 to 1 again.
Yeah, it won't take long.
But do you ride the heater?
He played outstanding.
Outside of the final 5 holes, he was awesome.
Putting can be his Achilles heel.
And look at the 2 of the guys we just bet.
But
their Achilles heel.
Yes, but I'm just saying what he did, like that sort of putting, as bad as it was, is unsustainable. And he was just striking it so pure. I don't know. I like Chesson Hadley a bit more.
You like Chesson?
Because I'm not good. He's been playing. He's
got it back.
Again.
He had to shake off the Ander curse, and he was fine.
But again, like he was playing well, got in some shitty field events, and it's like, oh my god, we got to bet him at like 28 to 1. He really sucked. He really went away for a bit, got Ander cursed. Again, was showing form, played well in Houston. Obviously, wasn't in the Masters. Has a great week, and now from 110, he's like 40.
The name that we haven't hit on in this area, the 40 to 1 range,
is a defending champion.
Well, the defending champion's Kevin Chappell.
No, a former winner.
Champion.
Yeah, sorry.
Brendan Steele's good, man.
Yeah.
Like, of all the 40 guys, I like Xander the best, but I'm giving a look to Steele. I'm giving a look to Perez.
Isn't Steele...
Like, those guys are just good.
Steele's essentially the same as List.
He's not as good. Like, the one thing that I think people fail to realize about Luke List is he's one of the best players around the green on tour. Like, his around the green numbers are top notch. And he doesn't have to utilize it so much because he's such a good ball striker that he hits a ton of greens in regulation. But if the wind picks up, the greens aren't super small at Valero like they are at Heritage, but the green and regulation numbers, because of the wind, are very much the same. So I would have a tough time taking someone who sucked around the greens. And if there's one thing with Steele, he's not the best at chipping. That would be my Brendan Steele hesitation. But you're getting a 40 to 1 on a former winner here. And he's one of the best off the tee in the field, too.
Not for me.
Not for you? I'll have my cheat sheet up on Wednesday on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. I might have talked myself into one of Steele or Perez. Like, I talked myself into Cantlay last week by the time it came down. And he didn't win, so that sucked. The rest of the field here. So the 55 range in the 50s, you got Palmer 55, Walker 55, Beau Hossler's actually 40. The books are savvy to Beau Hossler, by the way. He's going to be a good DraftKings pick this week. Laird and ZJ are 55. Holmes and Keegan are 50. Nah, who screwed everyone's DraftKings teams last week, is back in the field. He's 55. Jamie Lovemark is 45. The models love Jamie Lovemark this week. And you know how much I love Jamie Lovemark. I don't know if I want to make this a bet at 45 or just play him on DraftKings at 77, because that's a really fair price. Do you have any feel for these guys?
I don't see Love Mark listed on this other book.
Maybe you weren't looking high enough.
No, I wasn't. Jeez.
That's the thing. Like, this feels just full of like these sorts of odds. You're like, Love Mark at 45.
Not really.
You're not feeling that whatsoever?
Not.
Zach Johnson at 55?
No.
Keegan at 50?
No. I'm a sucker for somebody, though.
Give me the name.
Julian Surrey.
I'm on Surrey, too. He's 66.
And dropping.
Yeah, you told me that he was down to 56 on some places. So
Yeah, I had the 66 on the full board. When you clicked it to put it in the bet slip, it was a 50. 365 still has the 66 as of us having this conversation, though. Won't get higher, I promise.
Yeah, it's only going to drop to 55.
He's been had a great little match play.
That really kind of turned it around for him because he almost beat Bubba in that group, and then he went and qualified for Houston
on Monday
and came top 10.
Wasn't, and we pull even that number for a Monday qualifier because I bet it. I don't remember what it was. Wasn't as high as it should have historically been. But I don't know, man. The guy sort of brings that. He hits it big.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe being the European Tour player, my no stats model says, oh, he spent like a year on the European Tour. He must know wind.
Yeah, should be good in the wind.
Yeah, must know wind. I got no data to back it. And maybe I'm just trying to chase the feel-good moment of him winning because you could argue the number's short. But he sets up, and his around the green skill set to me is also quite elite.
Really? Something you've noticed? I don't watch that much Julian Surrey.
I don't think. Okay, I'm not calling him a major champion, but I see the exact same stuff in him that we saw in Brooks before Brooks became a major champion.
It's funny because I wrote about this in my column today, which is up on DKE Playbook. I think it's up. I
don't want to call him.
But he is the American who played on the Euro Tour, who bombs it and came over, and everyone projected Brooks onto him. And now he's starting to play a little bit better.
But he bombs it, and he's very snazzy around the greens, which is what you saw instantly out of Brooks, whether when he drained that little chip at Phoenix. Yeah. And maybe that's unfair, because to call him Brooks, people have to realize Brooks is a major champion.
Brooks is ranked 10th in the world right now. I know we haven't seen him in
he's just
5
chilling.
months. He's hurt.
I saw a book just because when I opened this book, the first thing they give you is players odds for some reason.
Okay.
And he's 33 to 1.
Yeah, they don't want to get burned by Brooks.
But he's not even playing. Yeah, I don't even think he'll be there.
He'll probably be. He almost came back for the Masters. I think he'll be ready by the Players. He might try to get in an event before that. But so we're both in on Surrey at 66. I found the most egregiously priced player in a week full of guys that are, short odds. Grayson Murray's 90 to 1.
He was egregiously priced in Houston, and I thought he popped for a bit, didn't he?
I believe he came T14. So I'll probably have a top 20 or top 10 bet on Grayson, but I will bet him at 90. I'll bet him at 90 to 1 too. Of course he wasn't going to play well at Heritage. That's not a track for Grayson Murray. Let him hit his driver, let him get out there, make some birdies, score on the par 5s, and he can do all those things. The thing I don't understand is Grayson's at 90 to 1. Sure, I love Patrick Rogers. Who doesn't love Patrick Rogers? Why is he 80 to 1? Why is Russell Knox 75 to 1? Why is Jamie Lovemark half the odds of Grayson Murray? I get people don't like Grayson Murray, and that's baked into this because no one wants to bet him. But we're just talking about skills. He's got the right skills here. And he has won on tour before.
Yeah, and I don't know. Kokrak is usually 80 to 1 in much stronger fields.
Yeah, and he rates out really well just from a ball striking perspective.
And everything you've said about
this course,
looking at it.
But why would you bet Kokrak at 80 to 1 when you can bet Grayson at 90 to 1?
I'm not.
Who do you have more confidence in?
I would rather bet Grayson. Juno's playing well. No, I don't want to say playing well because I did this last week and you looked it up and he wasn't playing well. But he's scoring decent. Harris English.
It was the same player that you mentioned last week. He's not playing any better after, I assume he missed the cut last week? I don't know. What did Harris English do? Harris English. Did he miss the cut? He was 32nd at the RBC Heritage.
Yeah, no, there was a nice round in there.
He gained a bunch of strokes putting, and with
Shocker.
and with his irons. I'm not going to bet Harris English.
Okay.
Ryan Palmer, I found interesting at 55.
Yeah.
Over the past 5 years,
He likes it here.
If you look at total strokes gained at this course, Charlie Hoffman's by far the best. He has gained over the past 5 years 45 strokes total, and he has a win and 11th, and 9th or something like that along with it. Ryan Palmer's second on that list. Ryan Palmer, he had a nice round. Like, if you want to talk about someone who just randomly had a nice round last week, his second round was top notch.
Yeah. And I guess if, like, the weird winners this year, he could fall in line with that.
What's the name that I have circled, and I got to make my decision of whether I want to go Steele, I want to go with Perez, or ride Si Woo, but Jimmy Walker's 55-1. He's making cuts again. He's won here before. You know, you always like Jimmy Walker, whether it's in Hawaii or Texas. Now we're back in Texas. And he won the Super Windy year,
I'll
too.
say that. I'm much more inclined to bet Jimmy Walker than Ryan Palmer.
I think I'm on board with that.
I could be talked into Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Walker had a nice Masters, too.
I don't want to be talked into Ryan Palmer.
Okay, I won't talk you into Ryan Palmer. But again, like, there's that middle range. Like, even Streelman rates out pretty well.
Has JB Holmes done anything lately? Seems like he's just kind of been...
Yeah, he's been playing better. Holmes, what are his recent results? Because remember what happened at Farmers. But that week he just putted the lights out. He was actually kind of garbage the rest of the time.
But I guess like Holmes, like it's sort of the point to like Grayson. Like you can literally be betting Grayson at 90.
JB's does he? Yeah,
has he been bet?
He hasn't been better, but he is a better player.
I will give that.
Like you hope like Grayson's like ceiling is probably what JB Holmes was at his peak. But over the past 4 events, JB has reverted back into being the worst putter of all time. But he gained almost 7 strokes with his irons at Valspar, 1.6 at API, 3 at Shell. So the iron and tee work is coming back. He was 32nd at Shell, gained 6 off the tee, 3 through approach, and lost 4.5 on the greens. I think he makes a more intriguing DraftKings play than a bet.
Somebody who finally had a decent scoring week in North America, Fratelli.
Did Fratelli even make the cut?
Yeah, I feel like he was lumped in that group of guys you mentioned, like how so many guys were like 8 under, like T17 or something.
He got that low?
I want to say he did.
I didn't even see him. Oh, yeah, T32 last week. Played well off the tee.
What did he finish, 7 under then?
No, that would have been 4 under, something like that.
No,
he lost over 3 strokes on the greens.
He can't.
Solid putting week for Fratelli.
That's been a problem for him.
So, yeah, Grayson was my only other ad. So, List, Scott, X, Surrey, and Grayson are the only ones on the card right now. I'm going down the list, like really looking at bombs. Tyler Duncan was a name that kept popping up for me. He's 300-1. Might be worth like
Love Lady?
The one, Love Lady, sure. Not super for me, but like Trey Mullinix is 80-1 this week.
Is that like short something's up?
Yeah, why else would Trey Mullinix be 80-1? He's the best in the field in driving distance gained. So that helps.
I think I bet him in that swing event. I guess that would have been during the match play.
Punta Cana?
Yeah.
He played well there. In his last 2 starts, T8, T22. Like I said, the best driver of the ball in the field in terms of distance. The top 5 right now in terms of driving distance over the past 24 rounds. Mullinix, List, Keith Mitchell, another good Bermuda player, Ryan Palmer, and Adam Scott. After that, it's Watney, Garrigus, Steele, Kokrak, Lovelady. And Kevin Tway. What's Kevin Tway's odds this week? I didn't even see that. Tway sounds like he has the makings of a first-round leader bet.
What about Harkins?
Harkins and Hoagie were the 2. Harkins is 160 this week? Harkins drives the ball really well.
I've just seen his name like on my scrolls pretty consistently.
This is an interesting Aaron Wise week as well. You know how people love Aaron Wise? This is a good place for him to utilize his driving game off the tee. What?
This thing the whole week. Seawoo's putts and shit.
Wise is 80-1. Harkins is 160. I think I'd rather take the play on Harkins.
You know, there are a lot of people that were going to hit. It wasn't a double, but it was the same event.
The Rom Siwoo double?
No. Although there apparently was one out there, but you better have had the Siwoo single, or even though Rom won, you're a psychopath, in my opinion. to double 100-1 bet.
Yeah. It's very greedy.
Like, just because imagine that wins, but Rahm couldn't win. That you'd be like, what did I do? Whatever. That's not what I was going for. The Rory first round leader 100-1 and the Siwoo outright 100-1s.
I can't believe I missed Sabatini first round leader. I can't believe it. I was talking about it on the Wednesday live chat and just
You just missed it, or you just consciously
I just
said screw him.
I just missed it. Like when I was going through the odds, like I started at 100-1 and I had made the first round leader bets Wednesday morning, and someone had brought up on the chat like Sabatini rates out really well and he's played really well here, and I was like, yeah, I mixed him into a few DraftKings teams, just totally forgot to bet him first round leader.
Well, it worked out.
I saw Baroff hit that. Baroff won
a lot of people won it.
Baroff won the Golflandia DraftKings contest too.
That's pretty funny.
That means he gets his 10 seconds this week on top of his regular 10 minutes.
That's pretty jokes.
Yeah.
Good thing like Sunday, well, like normally I'd say Sunday dinner, but normally like Sunday lunch came around and you weren't sweating missing that first round leader.
No, that's true. So of the rankings of the past 24 rounds, the only guys that really hop out that we didn't talk about, Johnny question marks.
He was popping early in the week.
Yeah, he was second after the first round. He's played well here in the past too. Keegan Bradley, Ollie, Laird, who's a former winner here. But we also have...
Ollie's model popping?
Ollie's 18th, but he sucks off the tee. That's where he's getting killed. His ball striking is bad and his off the tee is bad. And he doesn't have the most distance, so that would keep me off of him this week. There's a couple like European Tour players. We talked about Fratelli and Surrey. Sharma's playing. Sharma's 75-1. And then Chris Paisley is over for the first time all year since WGC Mexico. First time in the States. He's 90-1. Does he intrigue you at all? To either one of those guys, 75 and 90? Paisley's had 5 starts in 2018. He has a win in 2 top 5s.
It's his first North American start.
First America start. He played in Mexico.
First America start. He's teaming with Fleetwood at the Zurich.
Yes. I can't wait for the Zurich.
That's pretty exciting. Paisley's wife, girlfriend, fiance, works the bag.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got Patrick Reed swag?
Yeah.
Or Steve Stricker swag? That doesn't tell me if you like him or not.
Who is 75-1?
Sharma is 75. Paisley's 90. Do you take a leap on those guys, almost like Kadira last week? These guys are ranked very highly in the world rankings. They're not getting the respect and the odds. Do you take that leap?
Sharma's a bigger hitter, isn't he?
Honestly, I don't know. I have to.
And I guess the stats are hard to quantify
because they don't play all that often, right?
No, I'm not taking that big of a leap for the outrights.
Okay. DraftKings wise, do they intrigue you?
Yes.
What's Sharma?
Paisley, I feel like will be sneaky popular. Well, Sharma is kind of like people like been there, done that.
Yeah, all the Euro players will be like, oh, I use Paisley and he wins me money every week on Euro DFS. I might as well use him this week.
Like he'll be double what Sharma is owned.
What are the prices?
76 and 75.
No, they are right next to each other. Maybe not though. If you, like I said, if you just want to take like some punts, I think that like I wish that Molnix wasn't so.
Any like really from the back Australian that you like here?
It's funny you mentioned that.
Have that great.
They do. The Australians in Texas is a thing. I mean, Bodo's won at this course before. Scott's won at this course. We had that. It was the year that Bowditch won that Australians won all 4 of the Texas events.
Matt Jones
And Scott won that year as well. So Badley, who has a really good course history here, is interesting at 125.
Ogilvy?
Probably not going to bet Ogilvy. I'm not going to lie to you. Are there any other Aussies in the field?
Bowditch?
Bowditch is, and he's 1,000-1. Maybe gets it going again.
Send in the clowns?
What's sending at?
I don't even see a number. There's a DraftKings odd.
What's his DraftKings price?
65.
There is one more guy I wanted to talk about.
Is like Curtis Luck not here?
No, and Curtis Luck played well here last year.
What?
This was Luck's first start after giving up his amateur status last year, but no, he's not in the field. The last guy.
Austin Cook.
No, he's 110-1.
I like someone else.
It's Martin Keimer.
I get it, like first or last, but isn't he like abysmal right now?
He made the cut this week.
Oh, that's actually a positive. No, I mean that as a positive.
He was 73rd at the RBC Heritage. He was 48th at the Masters. Missed the cut at the Shell. He gained over 4 strokes on his approaches last week. And being Martin Keimer, he lost over 5 strokes around the green because that's what Martin Keimer is going to do to you. But when you get a hot Martin Keimer week, he doesn't miss the greens. So I don't think I'm going to bet it, but I found that to be a very strange number. Considering the guys that were getting it, like Furyk at 70 to 1 or Martin Keimer at 110, like I think I would take my shot on Martin Keimer, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like the discrepancy between those numbers seems strange.
I would agree. But I don't know. Willie McGirt do anything for you?
No, not really.
I don't see an odd. You have a Hudson Swafford odd?
225 is the odd. He's been garbage.
Things are really not clicking there.
It's funny that he dropped so much in the odds, despite the fact that he has a win and played well for so long. He was the original Luke List, by the way. Like when you would run the stat models like 2 years ago, it'd be like, why is Hudson Swafford inside the top 10? He's no longer there, but then he ended up getting that win at Career Builder. So maybe this could be the week for Luke List. It'd be fantastic.
Jeez.
Let's get to the picks.
Yeah, I was writing mine down.
So for me, and I will add to this as the week goes along on my Facebook page, / the PME, Luke List 25, Adam Scott 30, Xander Schauffele 40, Surrey 66. I played that with an each way as well. And who was the other one?
Just may as well
Grayson Murray 90 with the each way.
Kind of just put me on repeat.
But I am going to give a hard look to either Steele, Perez, Walker, and I do want to dig into Keimer, Paisley, and Sharma a little bit more.
So far, I have bet Scott, Xander, and Surrey. I have a double star beside Luke List. I don't know what that means. Probably means I'm going to bet him. You mentioned that range of guys. It feels like a sucker to pull a Chesson Hadley trigger there. But I might be real needing
Hey,
to.
listen, if you're feeling it, why not? He is starting to play a lot better again. The only thing that was letting him down was the around the green stuff, and if he played well at Heritage, then he can definitely play well here. That's a tough place to get up and down.
And Harkins 160 might find his way into some...
Yeah, Harkins, Hoagie, and T. Dunks, as someone mentioned to me. If you take a guy named Duncan in San Antonio, that might go really well for you. But I'll probably have to put like $5 on each of them to win with the each way, but probably like make a real bet on them like top 20 or something.
My introduction to Duncan was he led the event Steph Curry was in.
Oh, did he?
Or I don't know if he won it, but like when I was actually tracking what Steph was doing.
Tyler Duncan was popping. Like, hey, T. Dunks.
It's like, Tim Duncan.
Keith Mitchell's 100 to 1. So I guess like him and Mullenix, the books are like savvy to. They're hip to what they're up to. But I think they make really nice DraftKings plays.
Were people hockey sad at your party?
No, it was funny.
People get real hockey sad.
Yeah, I assume people were real hockey sad. We're in Toronto. The Leafs keep losing. I think it's hilarious because I hate the Leafs. But you have to remember that all my friends aren't from Toronto. They all just live here. And they all also hate the Leafs. So everyone's just like, yeah, we didn't even turn on hockey. There was one guy who was like, you put on the game? No. Like, fuck off.
Really?
Yeah. Paul was sad. Paul loves the Leafs. It was already over. Yeah, the MMA was still on. So we turned that on for a bit. So we saw more MMA in the UFC on Saturday night than we saw of hockey.
How bad has Johnny Vegas been?
Very. That doesn't mean he can't win.
I guess, his forte would be spoiling it.
Should we just wait and bet him at Glen Abbey?
No, because I'm just looking at the Grayson. I see Johnny right there, but Grayson's probably better.
One and done picks of the week. I shall go first because I had Siwoo as my pick, and he came in second.
Yeah, I had Hadwin, and I guess I switched to Kisner.
You switched to Kisner. Yep.
Wow.
T9.
Thought, Sunday morning.
Well, he was one of those guys. It was like everyone comes from 3 back. It's like, ooh, Kisner's 3 back.
And that was like the easy, default who's going to come and win.
But again, that's Kisner, again, a top 10 at a Pete Dye course. You have no idea. I want to see what the Kisner-Scott Brown odds are for next week for Zurich, but I can almost guarantee you they'll be on the card.
Last year,
They came second to
the
Cam and
the
Blixt.
miracle chip.
But Cam and Blixt won at 100-1
But they had that miracle chip.
on 18
To
to force it
force
to
it.
the next day.
And that was, we had the power team of Day and Fowler. Do you know if they're together?
I don't know. Didn't they miss the cut?
Yeah, it didn't work out, and it kind of makes sense. I'm just going to be a sucker for that Patrick team.
No, the Cantlay Reed. So you're going to
Yeah.
have Cantlay Reed. I assume you'll be on Kisner and Brown. And I'll give you Paisley and Fleetwood as the other team that you're on. I can already make your picks for you.
I'd like to look at the lineup. I'd like to look at the sheet. Who's with
Those are like the only 3 teams that I know. And someone was begging.
Blixt playing, like, I guess he's showing good form before his big event.
Hey, Pete Dye courses, man. Jonas Blixt. He plays well 1 out of every 3 times at a Pete Dye course.
Thought he was going to weasel. There was
a chance he weaseled his way into the top 5, which would have been really nice.
Yeah, because guys did kind of fall back outside of like the 3 that actually contended.
They all just kind of missed it because I had the each way on Bill Haas. I believe he came 7th instead of 5th. Blix made his way up the charts. So, what happened to Grillo? After that awesome close he had, he just couldn't putt the entire week.
Entire week.
So, one and done picks. I've already used List, so I can't do that. I've already used Sergio, so I can't do that. I've already used Chappell, so I can't do that. I believe I've used Adam Scott. I used Adam Scott at the Masters because I couldn't use Spieth. You see Woo. There's a chance I've used Xander. Damn it. Who do I pick? Who are you going to pick? Because I know you're not going to land on one of my guys.
No, and you've used them. I'm going to take List.
You're going to take List? What do you think would be a decent strategy here?
Surrey.
I think he'll end up being popular. Just from Monday morning golf Twitter, enough people are talking up Surrey already. And his number's already dropping.
Jimmy Walker.
I was thinking Jimmy Perez might be a really sneaky one here just because he's so good. Steele might end up being a bit popular. If you wanted to roll the dice, I don't think that many people are going to use Chappell based off his recent form. And we know that he has upside. I would think that Charlie Hoffman or Ryan Moore or Luke List will end up being the most popular. Would it be, maybe you do have Sergio available. Do you think that this would be a week to burn Sergio?
I don't have Sergio. I'm pretty sure I used him in Mexico.
And I used him at Valspar, I think. Or Honda, one of the two. But do you think it would be...
I'm not... I'm afraid of Sergio. He won a member with Ben Crenshaw, I think, on the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of like they got to go to an event with just normal people, but...
Okay, I will take Xander Schauffele. And if I have used Xander Schauffele, and I'll make sure that's updated reflected in the cheat sheet when the time comes. If I don't take him, I'll take Brendan Steele. I feel like those are some, I don't want to say free bucks, but Brendan Steele should
So that makes me lean that you're probably more inclined on Steele than Perez.
I need to dig in more. But if we're just talking about pure one and done, I might use Perez somewhere else.
I don't know. Does Perez kind of feel overrated at the moment?
How so? Clearly the odds do not reflect him being overrated.
I mean, is he playing as well as the perception is that he's playing?
I think he's playing fine. He missed the cut at the Masters. He hadn't played in a bit.
I like him. I've been betting him a lot. I just feel like he hasn't even gotten really into anything.
Per the rankings over his past 24 rounds, he's number 15th in the thing that I'm using.
That's pretty strong.
And he's been bad off the tee, but in birdies or better gained, he's 6th. In par 5 scoring, he's 4th. In proximity, 150 to 175, he's 28th. From 175 to 200, he's 42nd. Around the green, he's 13th. Tee to green, 45th. Like, he's not playing like he was at his peak, but he also fell into a really weird one because he started playing well overseas in like the CJ Cup and the OHL where he came 34th. There's no stats for that. When he won it in CIMB, there's no stats for that. So the 5th at CJ Cup, no stats for that. So that's not included. It's just what he's been doing. And since the new year started, 4th, 35th, 41st, 20th miscut.
Yep.
Like, he hasn't been elite by any means, but all those fields that he's played in, the Masters, WGC, Genesis, those are strong fields. This isn't a strong field. And he was basically 35 or 40 in those ones. That's why I said I got to dig into it a little bit more and try to see what's going on. Anyway, Geoff Fienberg, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts from you?
No. Good luck with the kitchen.
Thank you. We'll see how much. I really want to get a gas stove. Because when I moved in, I have all the original appliances from when I moved in. And I have this like crappy electric stove and like the burners are off kilter. And, you know, I didn't just have 20 grand lying around to upgrade my kitchen. Now I do. Maybe what I'll do is just double down on myself and play $20,000 worth of DraftKings lineups.
Yeah, just do some head-to-head.
I'll talk to Saul.
Yeah,
be like, hey,
challenge
Saul,
Saul, like,
how about some $5,300 head-to-heads? I'll
Yeah.
lose all my money.
Yeah, a couple of them.
No, you can expect me to be quite near the cash out button. The one good thing is, like, I was talking to Paul about this earlier, too. It's just like, he's like, are you going to upgrade, like, the stakes that you play? I was like, marginally. That's not really my game. I like to stay within my bankroll. The bankroll is obviously...
doing what, I mean, you just, like, is the $5, what, drive the green?
Yeah.
You just keep doing that. Like, you're playing for that big hit anyway.
Yeah. I like to play for fun.
And I feel like with those big GPPs, well, it's kind of different because there are advantages
To playing the higher stakes.
if you can get into you play the higher stakes, the payouts.
What
The same roster that would pay like $20 back in a big GPP, and when those higher stakes
could
ones
win a shorter...
could come like second place,
Yes.
essentially. Yeah, so I don't know. That's your call.
Yeah. I don't plan on becoming a high-stakes DraftKings player anytime soon, put it that way. I think I'd rather just take my money and run. And just continue to play the $100 to $200 a week and just be gone with it. Anyway, Geoff Fienberg, follow him on Twitter at GFienberg17. You got something else to say? It looks like
no.
you were ramping up to say something.
I actually have nothing.
All right. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at ThePME on Twitter. Like I mentioned, new saved custom models that you can build on FantasyNational.com is just one of the many tools along with the world's best customizable stat database if you're a member at FantasyNational.com. So go check that out. My cheat sheet for betting will be up on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, Wednesday afternoon, full of all the bets and first-round leaders. My DK cheat sheet, if you'd used it last week, you probably won some cash, up on DKPlaybook.com on Tuesdays, and I'll be back on Tuesday with the DraftKings Pick Show and 1:30 p.m. Wednesday with the live viewer chat. Thank you for watching, and thanks for all your well wishes. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for that. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!